Hi, Neil.
Hey Ralph, how are you doing?
Uh, a little crazier than I planned to be,
How come?
because of the newspaper situation here.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's just been uh, like drinking from a fire hose this week.
Oh really? Oh gosh.
But it's okay. We're ready for this, right? As ready as we'll
Um,
ever be.
I mean, is it drinking from a fire hose in a positive a positive way, or is it just like
Uh,
there's
I
so
mean,
much?
no, it's there. It's just it's not a matter of having to relearn anything. It's just trying to get to the bottom of where things are and where they need to be. And whenever there's a change in upper management, there's always, well, I think I would rather do things this way.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I just got home from
Oh
work.
wow. Okay. Okay. Have you eaten?
No, but I had a late lunch, so it's
Okay.
okay.
Because I ate before this, so
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
you're ready to
Um,
rumble.
we actually have quite a few, and I'll be honest, Ralph, I'm not sure if we're going to be where we want to be, but we'll see where we are at 8 and decide at that point. But I want to be very careful that we don't push this too hard and not give it due diligence.
Yeah,
So as I said, we'll see where we are. I mean, all the applications which are left are ones that we agree there should be some level of funding. So that's where I'm going to focus the conversation is how much.
yeah,
I'm not going to be focusing on do we fund this or not, because we kind of did that last time, because these are all higher rated applications.
sure.
Um,
Unless, I mean, if somebody individually wants to challenge
oh
something.
yeah, no, I'll make it clear, but
Yeah,
the approach I'm going to take is I'm going to, for each application, I'm going to ask in a rotational order, for that person's recommendation as a starting point, and then we can discuss,
yeah,
rather than throwing it open to an open-ended input, because I found there was an awful lot of silence then. This way I can hopefully save some time. So I'll go in the sort of sequence of the names on our roster here,
hmm,
and I'll just keep on, because we have, I think, more than half the applications left to go here. So
yeah. I'm trying to remember, where was our cutoff point?
well, what we did was we went to the lowest rated ones,
Yeah,
and
it's
and so
not by dollar amount, it was by lowest rated.
that's what we did
Yeah,
last time.
right.
But tonight I'm going to start by dollar amount,
Okay.
and go from there. So I'm operating on 3 screens because Kinsey's on vacation.
Yeah.
So I've got my stuff on 2 screens, and then I've got what we'll be sharing on the other screens. So this is a quite sophisticated, as it were. I see Jason in the process of
Hi,
joining.
Jason.
I'm not sure he's on audio yet.
Oh.
He might be now.
Hey guys, just getting unmuted here.
Okay.
Hey,
Can you hear
Jason.
me?
Yeah.
We are glad you're here.
Jason, do you
Glad
have
to go outside for this.
do you have access to the video feed, Jason?
Yeah, oh, Yeah, I always do. I just don't have a webcam. So
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm always looking at you guys. You just can't see me.
No
We know what
problem.
you look
Because
like.
I'm technological.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm looking. We're doing an in-person meeting. Is that the next one? I'm looking forward to that. Actually,
Don't know.
Yes.
that's
No, it is.
that's the next.
It
Well,
is, yeah.
unless we don't get through everything tonight, is my point.
Well, no, we'll still have that one as
Okay.
being in person. And Ren is going to be the person who learns how to do the setup in City Hall.
Oh.
Because it's
Yeah.
it's not trivial, put it that way. But yeah, well, no, I think it will be. I'm just not sure if it will be ready to keep to the council schedule. I think we'll keep to our schedule. I'm just not sure if we'll be ready from a due diligence point of view, but we'll discuss that at 8.
Okay.
Um,
So our goal is to go as hard as we can for 2 hours and then see where we are.
Yeah, I think if it goes more than that, I don't think we're doing due diligence. I think we're just kind of fatigued, and maybe giving in too easily. So unless we're like really close, you know what I mean? But if there's like 10 applications left, I think we have to push
Wait.
those to a future meeting. If it's 1 or 2,
We plow on.
yeah. And Ralph, are you good? Kind of, what's going to be important here on some of these is capturing the elements of the application that we are funding, because that's going to have to be communicated to the applicant.
Okay.
So particularly on like Lulu's, there's only going to be 1 or 2 line items that we are going to fund because some of the others aren't eligible. So
Right.
it's important that we capture that in the sort of notes, because that will have to get communicated.
Okay, I'm gonna start a new Word document here
Yeah.
for that purpose.
Now that's Amanda who's joining. Marcus is joining. Rebecca's joining. So it's Ren and Nancy that we're looking for. And I'm hoping Nancy's in a place where she has access.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus, Rebecca, Amanda.
Hmm.
Hey Neil,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably your intent already, but we lead off by kind of recounting how many applications we've made decisions on and what the total tally is. You have
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 16,665. Is that
Yep.
report with
Yep.
yours?
Yep.
Okay.
It's good that I haven't changed anything. There is Ren, so I think we're going to call the meeting to order. Hopefully Nancy joins us. Becca, you want to go ahead and do a roll call?
Yes, and I'm not muted, right? Okay,
Oh.
Yeah,
nice. Neil Mensch,
I'm here.
Nancy Wilson is currently not here, but if she joins, we will note that time. Ralph Roughton,
Here,
Kinsey Watts,
Kinsey's on vacation, so she will not be joining.
she's excused. Marcus Medina,
Present.
Rin Almitra.
Here.
Okay,
Okay, approval
So,
of,
Becca,
Jason,
I'm here. Jason's
Oh,
here
yeah.
too.
I am so sorry. I am
thank
so
you,
sorry.
Jason.
Jason Wells.
Well, I could just hang up. You know, but-
Yeah, no,
Oh,
don't,
no.
don't.
No,
don't.
I think you're needed to vote tonight.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
All right. I'll
especially-
okay, approval of agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as submitted.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 So that will be, there's 5 of us, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. We don't have any minutes, any public comments.
No minutes because I neglected to let Amanda know that y'all were meeting this week. So they'll definitely be on the next meeting.
Okay. Any kind of reports?
The sales tax has come in. I haven't had an opportunity to look at it, but when I do, I'll send out an email concerning that final December amount.
Okay, so you'll have the amount we have for 2022. Great, that's awesome.
Can I
Okay,
just ask you, are we thinking we're, Neil, can I ask a question just to follow up on that? Are we thinking we're in the neighborhood of 150 though? Is that accurate? It's relevant to tonight's deliberations, I guess, even if we have a ball.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I don't see any reason why it won't come in as it will, but if I have drastically overestimated what it will be, then you definitely need to be let known right away. But we felt 150 was a safe amount.
Okay, great.
So, last time we covered 32 applications. We have currently recommended $16,665 in awards. So we actually have 37 applications left to cover here. We're going to do it a little bit differently this evening. We're going to start now with the highest amount requested, and go down sequentially. Obviously, those that we've already have covered, we will skip. The other thing I'm going to do a bit differently is in a rotating order. As we hit each application, I'm going to be asking whosever turn it is to say what they are recommending as a starting point, and then we can discuss and come to an agreement on what the number ought to be. If someone has a disagreement with funding at all, speak up and explain, but I'm not going to be asking that as a specific question, because we covered all of the lowest rated applications last time. The other thing is, we're just going to go through this and see where we end up, okay? And if we end up significantly above or significantly below, then we will determine what we do next. If we end up in in the ballpark of where we think we have funding, then we probably have a good starting point. But we'll just have to play that by ear a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. Do you see the application app now in the window? Are you
Yes.
seeing this? Okay.
Yes.
So the first one is going to be, Lulu's, and as Nancy's isn't here, Ralph, I'm going to ask you to say what you are recommending and why.
Okay, well, we have already had some discussion, about limiting what was eligible.
Mhm.
And I was lower maybe than what some of them might be, but I was more in the range of only funding around $7,500 to $8,000.
And what would that fund?
The bottom two, I was thinking about the bottom two on the budget.
Yep.
Of keeping the program development, the Back to the People Festival, and the he mentioned the mural as well. And I when I was a little unsure about that, but that's why I just gave you a range and not a specific number.
Well, let's just call it 7,500. Okay.
Okay.
Funding these two
That's
items. Does anyone have anything different to that?
I do, Neil. So my approach was to recommend half funding for new programs that were eligible. So all I recognized was $11,000 for the community programs. So my recommendation was just half of that 11,000, which is 5,500 for what I deemed to be eligible.
And are you calling the community program the 6,000 and the 5,000?
Let's see, I'm navigating to the.
I've got the budget.
Yeah,
Are you
subsidizing
seeing
youth.
the budget in the window?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually navigated to it on my own tab. But yeah, I think it was the 6,000 for the rental waiver, et cetera, and the 5,000 for program development. Those two items, half funding each, would be 5,500.
Okay. Do we have any other alternatives out there?
Gosh, I would be inclined I guess I'd be inclined towards the last three items. So that would bring us up closer to 1350, 13,500 if I'm doing math right. But I would be comfortable with lower, but I do like the idea of supporting the programmatic parts of this application.
Yeah. I think actually we're all in agreement there. Actually, it's just what is I had 6,000 down, by the way, in my own notes here. If we took the 6, the 5, and the 2.5 and divided by 2, that would be 6,725. Is that a acceptable point?
You said 6,725.
I think that's half of it. Yeah.
Yeah. That would work for me.
Yes, it
I'd
is.
be okay with that.
It's 6,750.
Okay.
And basically, it's funding half of those last 3 line items. Is that okay, guys?
Good by me.
I vote yes.
I'm okay with that.
Ren?
Sure.
Okay. So we covered Project Eco last time. So let's move on to the Pollinators Festival. And the person I'm going to ask is Marcus. What's your recommendation there, Marcus?
If I can pull it up on my phone as well. Here, or can you open yours up? I'm looking to see what notes I had written on that one.
No, I don't have access to your notes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask someone else. Ren, how much did you have in mind for the pollinators?
I'll be honest, I didn't have a dollar amount. I just had bigger questions about, supporting that much in general. So I may not be the best person to start with. I apologize.
All right, all right. Well, I had 5,000. And I think I was basically sort of taking out a lot of the administrative cost. I wasn't all that happy with the amount of stuff being paid for planning and organizing, and coordinating, and and so I just kind of, and it being 100% funded by MACH was also something that kind of bugged me a bit. So I actually am not sure how exactly I came up with that, but I think I felt it needed some support so the event could happen. But paying people $50 an hour, which is like 100,000 a year, that's what that equates to. That just didn't seem appropriate.
Hey, Neil, could you do you have access to, on any of these, or hopefully a lot of them, easy access to how much we funded them last year, if it's a repeat program like this one?
I don't.
I've got that right here, Ralph.
Yeah, if someone has
12,003.
that, speak up. It was more than 5,000.
Jason has it.
Yeah, I've got that for each one that was funded last year in a column on my spreadsheet. So I can, for all of you, anything that was funded last year, I can give you that figure right away.
Okay, how
So
much
for
is
the
it?
Pollinator Festival, it's $12,000 and strangely $3. So
Yeah, I think
12,003.
I think we funded 100% last year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So the 5,000 is what I am suggesting. Do we have any other thoughts here?
I found my notes. I think I do agree with the Pollinator Festival, and I thought the budget was very high here in my notes. I didn't, like Ren, I didn't have a specific number, but the admin, like you said, Neil, was high, but I do like the idea of a Pollinator Festival, so I'm okay with 5.
I will just say, this is Ralph, that I just went 50% across the board on this, just thinking in those terms. It wasn't about, and I understand and totally agree with the arguments, but I just basically went 50%, which would be 8,300.
So there's $7,500 in paying people to organize the event, and there's a further $2,500 for the sweepstakes. And I really question the value that is extracted there. So I'm not comfortable going 50% personally, but I think at this point I'll be quiet and let you guys discuss amongst yourselves.
Okay, I think your starting point was 5, possibly willing to work up a little bit. Mine was half, but willing to work down.
Yeah.
So I think somewhere in the middle.
And move on.
What?
I recommended splitting the difference evenly and moving on to the next one.
That would be somewhere around
6.5.
6,500. But are we going to single out any specific? Are we saying they're?
I think on this one, it's for the festival, and they need to figure out if they can still put it on.
Okay. Okay.
Is that okay, guys?
$6,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Art on the Avenue. And let's see, Marcus, I'll come back to you.
On the Avenue was asking for 15,500. That was not the one to buy the chair in front of Green Horse, right?
No.
This is just for continuing the art on the Avenue.
Yep.
I love the art in the Avenue, but I think my starting point would be half. About 7750.
Neil, is it okay if I just chime in with what they received, since I've got that info at my fingertips, what they received last year for
Yes.
those that
Yes, please.
did? Last year's award was $22,825.
Yep. And that was because the application combined everything into one application.
And I know that I have recused myself from at least the voting part of this, but where there's a question about last year, I feel like I can inject a little bit here, that last year's application was based on a much more ambitious program around the 150th celebration of having more pieces of art on the avenue.
Does anyone else have a figure? So you got Marcus at half. Anyone else?
I mean, half, I guess would mean just half. Does that, I've been trying to figure out if that cleanly equates to like half of, the sculptures being installed and half of.
I think that they would. So when you kind of look at the breakdown, there's a fair amount of stuff here that it would just be a lesser amount of stuff that they do.
Yeah.
But I think that they would have to figure out what they would do, if you understand me. They've got artists stipends for contracted sculpture displays. So that's plural. So it means there's multiple displays. So they could do one or two.
I think they said they were going to do 4 with this budget. So, okay.
And they're asking for 15,520 from MACH.
And I'm also seeing here, as I'm looking back at my notes, Public Works, I think was going to donate their 2,200.
Yeah, but that's offset from the total expenses. Okay. So what they're asking for from MACH is 15,520. And they have 7,200 of other sources. Maybe I can share this. So the approach I took was I deducted, I think, this updated map design and printing from the 15,520. And I think that's what I came up with. So it would have been more than half is what I came up with. 11,233. Ren, Jason, did you have a figure in mind?
Generally, for established programs, I generally recommended half because that's basically, the budget available relative to the request. But for this program, it's just so seminal to our artistic world. I kind of bent my own rules a little bit and recommended 75%, which wound up being 11,640. But I'd be comfortable plugging in half for now. But this is one I would recommend if we get through this at the end of the evening. Hopefully, I would recommend circling back if we've got
That's
any
a fair
residual
point.
on this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Ren, did you have something in mind here?
No, I'm okay with half. Yeah, but I like Jason's suggestion. I second that.
I agree with that. I think let's see where we end up, and if there are funds left over, this is probably one of the first we would come back to. Thank you, guys. You have to excuse me because it's quite hard manipulating everything. Manitou live music. Suspected spam. Bastards. Okay. Manitou live music. Ren, I'm going to start with you here.
Okay.
And Jason, perhaps you could say how much they got
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, 6,000, and I just have the awarded amounts in front of me, not the requested amounts. But
And
they
that's
were
fine.
awarded 6,000 last.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I had wanted even more detail in the budget, but I like, there are parts of this that I really want to fund. Like I like the idea of them getting some staff support, which we had clarified as the marketing, promotion, and advertising 2,200. So this might be another one that I would propose half, but I haven't, I don't have that line by line. Knowing that it might support half the program. This is so hard, by the way. It's just, I want to fund everything.
It is hard.
It's so
It
hard.
is hard. No, I get that.
Yeah. So I feel like our theme is half for a lot of these, but that feels for some of these kind of a cleaner way, knowing that it might be approximately, half of the programming, if we're kind of distributing that across the grants, the ones that apply. So
Okay.
I'll throw that out there.
Do we have any other suggestions out there?
I had a max of 9,000, but I'm willing to go down to a half without any problem.
Yeah, I actually had slightly less than half.
Oh,
And basically I had funding the concert series, the summer concert series, the library lawn concert series, and the community meal events. I specifically, Ren, did not want to fund the marketing, promotion, advertising, and the operational expense and the sound system stuff. So that's a fairly big distinction, I think, that I was targeting specific line items. But again, that's just me. If the rest of you think we should kind of just cut it across the board, or do you think we should be more specific, saying what we are or are not funding?
What does that figure wind up being?
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Neil, I was just asking what that figure was, by your approach.
7,050.
I'd be on board. I like the idea of funding line items rather than somewhat arbitrary. When it's close to half, I like your approach. I'd be on board with that.
7,000 focusing on the
Concert series, that's the not the spa building. This was the summer concert and the library lawn concert, because those are what the public attends in whatever numbers want to attend, and the community meal events.
I was gonna also mention, I think these guys, I see them around town a lot at all the events, and I like the fact that they are promoting local music, and I think that's gonna help create more and better local music. I was hoping for 70% on this one, but yeah, that's just what I think on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, we give them the final number and they ultimately decide what they do with that number, right? So,
Well, unless we kind of specify what we are funding.
interesting. Okay.
So on a couple, so like Lulu's, we had some specific line items
Yeah.
on
So
the.
we can do that. We can kind of dictate that.
Yeah, I think so. You know, on the pollinator, we're kind of giving them a figure and let them decide if they can do it or not.
Right. I guess once we get into kind of our, once we're past this application round and we start kind of reevaluating, I would like to talk about salary and operating expenses and maybe creating some policies. It seems like there's a lot of like that tends to be what is going by the wayside and like first often, and these groups need to pay themselves too to do this work. So I would still push for their line item offering some salary to help get some paid support for these events. They're doing so much.
Yeah, no, I think I agree, and I think it is going to be a more of a strategic conversation is when we have a significant excess of projects versus funds. Do we spend the money on what I would call true project expenses or on the administrative and organization expenses?
Yeah.
I think that's what we are talking about.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, I'm biased more towards the former than the latter, but
you can't always have both. You can't have
exactly.
one there often. So, but I hear you. I totally hear you. So that I guess so. I'm gonna push for a little bit more to include some. So we're at 6,500. Is that right?
7,050.
Okay. And Jason, can you tell me one more time what we funded last year amount?
It was 6,000.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to push for closer to 9,000. If not that full amount for staff, but I can also let it go if that's not consensus.
I'm just going to put this into Music Foundation. We got art on the avenue. I think I'm going to put that on our list of who we might come back to, Ren.
Okay.
Can we keep it at 7,050? Yeah, sure. Right now.
Sure.
Because I'm really, these higher dollar projects suck up the funding of maybe 5 smaller dollar projects.
Understood.
So that's why I'm being a little tougher here. Let's go to the Indigenous Peoples Day Festival, and I'll bring up the budget here. Okay, so whose turn is it this time? Ralph.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna chime in. This is year 2. So
Oh, Jason.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Jason, it's you.
4,200 last year. Oh, and
Yeah.
I'm getting my finger point. Okay.
Yeah, so
So yeah, received 4,200, obviously, and now this one is a little complicated. I think the big question I feel like a lot of us had, we got into this last week or last meeting, we've got multiple applicants for the same
Yeah.
event, which
so
makes
this
you
is
automatically wonder why they didn't coordinate.
yes. So this is for more what I would call a celebration than a formal event. And they're asking for 14,000. This is Don and Lynn. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So Jason, how
Right.
much did you have in mind on this one?
Well, I think the question bears on the other applicant from the mayor. And
Well, but that's
can we discuss these in tandem, or do we not want to discuss them in tandem? I guess
well,
that's my threshold question.
so there are 3 events here. There's a school one, there's this one, and then there's the more formal one that is really what happened last year. And yeah, I'm okay talking about them all together, but I don't want to say we're going to fund X amount and you guys figure it out. I think we're going to be very specific on which of these. So I was personally supportive of the mayor's application because that was the formal event. Okay, I think I had a much higher percentage on that one.
Can we consider that one first, even though it's out of line with the amount?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe that would make sense. That would help inform my feedback on this one, I guess.
Yeah, because I felt that was the kind which you guys will have to tell me when you see it appear here.
Well,
here, this one here.
Yeah.
So
I will.
So Jason, how much?
I forgot about this, but Don and Lynn's application I forgot about this until going back and looking at the full application now. They did cross-reference the other one. It says, no, the following 2 paragraphs are copied from Mayor Graham's match application. So there was some coordination going on.
Yes,
which
there
I think
was.
is important.
And John had told me that there were going to be multiple applications for different elements. But John's, I would classify it as the more formal engagement.
Okay, that's a good perspective to have there.
And I
kind of had mine blank. I kind of had mine blank on that one.
I'm going to
knowing that I was open to delve into this.
Ralph, how much are you thinking on this one?
Let me call that one up here on my screen, and I'll tell you. Just a second. It was close to full though.
Yeah, I had 6,000 on this one. I felt of everything, having participation from all the tribes. I know that was something they tried to do last year, but were not able.
I would not cut more than 1,000 out of it, but I'm not aiming at any particular. But I would be fine with full funding actually on this one.
Are there any alternative viewpoints here?
I would also be okay with that. So, sorry, that's not what you're asking for, Neil. But
No. That's good. That's good. Because I felt this one was the essence of the festival. If we move to the Indigenous Peoples Day Festival, which was, I'd say, less formal. This one I definitely had a percentage on. And I can't quite recall how I came up with the, did anyone have a figure in mind here?
I was no
Anything
more
that
than
had
half.
received funding.
Huh?
Sorry, Ralph, I stepped on you there. Was
No,
that-
what did you say?
Did you have a number, Jason?
Oh, anything that was received funding last year, and again, just because things are so tight, I just recommended last year's amount.
Yeah,
not
yeah,
because
but this
I think
is made up.
the budget's not warranted.
Yeah,
And
so
I know this is a new element, so I just had 4,200 plugged in. That's what the last year, but I'm kind of amenable to whatever.
but we just awarded
thought is here.
6,000 for
Right.
the formal events, so that would say nothing. Using last year as a baseline, what they've done is they've expanded the sort of scope.
Right. I think that's great. It's just a little, but it can't be done.
You know, I plugged in a number of 5,000. And even that might be a bit high, to be honest.
They did tell us that they were going to have the event regardless,
Exactly, and you know,
which,
I
and maybe that's good for the first year. But I mean, I think it's worth supporting. I'm just, I would have said half, but you said 5, somewhere in there.
does anyone else have a number, Marcus or Glenn?
I love the Indigenous Day weekend. I was at the whole thing this last year. So I know that we already got the 6,000. That includes the fees that you do need to pay Indigenous people to come.
Yeah,
Give them travel expense. I was just looking to see if that was also in here.
no,
If
it's
we just-
not. No,
It's not, is it?
So this is an addendum to the formal event.
And this stuff is not what happened this year. So like my note said, this is proposed ideas for 2023. Nothing is set in stone. They don't have the park rented out yet. So I'd be way more like in the 5 range for this if we're funding the full 6 on the other.
Yeah, and that they got 3,000 for custodial, stage management, general help. They got 2,500 for fully enclosed tents. I'm not sure why fully enclosed tents are needed. 1,000 for workshop. So 5,000 is my absolute top. In fact, I would actually go a wee bit less than that potentially. I'd rather give 1,000 more to MMF or Art on the Avenue if it came down to that.
I agree. I think they can get some other funding for this besides match, especially if we're giving the 6 out.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with 5.
So let's plug in 5 and see where we end up, okay?
Okay.
The other one that was on here was one of the was at the school district. This is for 2,000, I think. Here. Because we didn't fund, there was a dance thing in the mini grants that we have not funded. I would fund a portion of this. I'm not sure I would fund $2,000, but I'm sorry, I'm breaking my own rules here. Marcus, what would you recommend? Sorry.
I think on the 6,000, wasn't there 1,000 in there for dancers and drummers?
There's dancers and drummers everywhere.
So I'm guessing that it's going to be the same dancers and drummers. So if they're getting 1,000 from one part of the grant, 2,000 from another, and then another, I mean, they might do really well that weekend. They might end up making 3,000-4,000 dancers and drummers. That's my question is this included, is this the same dancers and drummers that are?
I don't know.
part of the six? I would
I-
think that it's gonna be.
Well, I think it might be on a different day. Because this will be during school day on Friday or something. So it's a different activity. Okay, it's not all happening on the same day.
Can you scroll that down?
Well,
They do say it's the Red Spirit Drum Group.
yeah, but it's just, they're gonna have this during school time. They're not gonna have this on Saturday or Sunday.
I don't see dancers or drummers listed in the big one, the 14,001,
Okay.
the festival.
I think it was in the 6,000. I think it was in the mayor's one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is on Sunday, I think. So it's a different activity.
Mhm.
I would go for half funding.
Anyone else? I'm okay with that.
I'm trying to get, sorry.
I'm good with half on this.
I guess that's fine. I mean, it's not clear if it's the same group or not, but I guess it's safe to assume that it is. So they didn't specify in the other grant what the name of the group is.
Okay. I plugged in 1,000 at this point, okay?
Fine.
Poetry heals. So I think Marcus, this one is on to you for a recommendation.
Okay, with that one, can you click into that
Oh,
or?
sorry. Sorry, they got $8,300 last year.
Thank you, Jason.
Was this one a repeat?
Yeah,
A repeat applicant? I'm trying to remember who the applicant
Yes.
was on this.
yes. It's happened for this is a slightly different format, but this is Molly Wingate.
I like it. I think it does. I think it is gonna help some people out. Can you click on the budget there? Again,
thought
we're.
this was- I
Go
thought this
ahead.
was one of the poorer budget preparations.
Yeah,
And did not mention any other in-kind contributions that it looked like they were going to have in the detail. And that should have been added to a total budget, which should be higher. When somebody is this sloppy with the budget that we've asked for, better detail about, I hate to go over 50%.
I had this at 50%.
And we could even, as far as I'm concerned, specify that the budget had a lot to do with it, the lack of certainty.
Because they still can have the event, it just may not run for the same number of weeks. Or have the same number of people attending, but anyone else have a thought here?
Just generally, for recurring programs that were funded to a certain extent last year, I recommended full funding because we found it last year to be warranted a certain dollar amount. But if things are getting more competitive year over year, that's probably okay. So I had full funding recommended because we did elect to fund $8,300 last year, and assuming everything went well, I figured kind of the same considerations are at play. But if things are more competitive, then that's the real thing. So I'm fine going down to half.
So I'm going to put it at half, and I've added a poetry to our list of potential that we go back to if there are funds left over?
A half on that would be 4763.
Yes. World Dance Festival. So for this one, Ren, I'm going to go to you for what you would recommend.
I'm sorry, Neil, can I just get, I came up with a different number than Ralph on that. Oh, never mind. I was halving last year's award, not this year's request.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
Okay, Ren, did you have a figure in mind here?
Sorry, I'm pulling up my notes as well. Let's see. I think some of our questions got answered when we met with this applicant that I was concerned about that might have affected kind of my opinion a little bit more. I think when we talked with her, and as it's very clear in her budget, because she detailed it very clearly, I think I would love to see one of these happen. I think we probably might need to only fund one. So I would suggest half, I guess, is what I'm getting to.
Okay, I agree. Anyone else have a thought here?
I have exactly the same thought.
I made one adjustment. I funded one and subtracted 1,000 for ticket sales revenue. Because I'm assuming this isn't a free event, people would pay to attend. So I had 4,500 minus 1,000. But I'm okay at 4,500. Just wanted you to understand my logic.
Yeah, not knowing how much they would charge or expect for a crowd, I'm fine with the half for now.
Okay, I'm going to plug it in at 4,500. Okay. Commonweal, where are we? I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way here, aren't I?
Commonweal
Is here.
8,900.
Yeah. So whose turn is it? Jason?
And they were awarded 3,000 last year.
And what are you suggesting for this year?
3,000. Any program, any existing program, and Commonweal's been around for what? How many decades? So I don't think Commonweal's going to go away without match support. So if they were okay with 3,000 last year, that was my recommendation.
Anyone else have a thought?
I was a little more lenient with them this year because maybe having a little bit more knowledge of that they had, a little bit of trauma with trying to handle the cleanup and the various other expenses, but including the music as well. And I do think that this, and it's not like they totally depend on us, but I'm more inclined to give them better. I actually was recommending 6,000 for this one.
Anyone else?
For me, this is one that if we got money left over, that I would like to go more than half.
I did 3,910. Basically funding this item only. I don't think we should be paying for parking. I don't think we should be paying for waste. As you may have heard me say, we met with them. They need to put more pressure onto their food vendors in how the waste is generated. So I'm at 3,910 specifically for the music and the coordination.
Oh, don't everybody speak at once.
I agree. I also heard her mention that there was not that much food vendors. I felt the same way. They should have had more food vendors, and I wish Manitou had a strict policy for all festivals about the plastic waste.
Well,
I don't know
yeah,
if that's anything we can.
yeah. I'm not going to go into that because I'm dealing with that on Brew Festival, but I am personally, I'm not allowing any vendors who use plastic or plates. It's going to be finger food only in a paper bag. But it's a beer festival. It's a little bit different, okay?
People should only be eating pretzels that are hanging around their necks that day.
I would be fine with just focusing in on the, Neil, you were saying 3910 for the
Yeah,
musicians?
yeah. The amount that they've called out in their budget.
That's fine with me.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Just for clarity's sake, though, so are they going to be held to when their project report that these funds are, if we're, and this is a broader question than just this application, if we are funding specific line items only, are these funds specifically allotted for that purpose, and we'll hold them to that in their project closeout reports?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
they could, okay.
I don't know
I
if we
mean-
can technically do that, can we?
well,
So that's, I don't
We
know.
can tell
the
them that's
question,
what
I
we
guess.
would,
yeah, there may be a way, Ralph, but I think at the end of the day, we have to trust people. But we could ask for an accounting of the 3910 and how it was actually spent if we wanted to.
yeah, by that,
I guess I'm asking that question.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I guess I'm asking that question really from the applicant's perspective, because they're going to want to know. Say, okay, we're funding this line item. If I'm on
Well,
that side,
we're going to
of
tell
the
them
application,
that.
I can say, do I have to spend it here?
Yes, they do. Absolutely. That's our letter of notification will say you've been awarded X. And in this case, it will be, this is to fund Y. Can you still deliver your project?
So their
Even if
project
it's far down their
completion-
priority list.
their project completion report would only have to show that.
Exactly. The music. Yes, because that's all we are funding.
And I think that's fine, even if they have higher priorities as the granting authority. I think we can define what the priorities are for these funds, and even if their priorities are different, it seems to stand to reason that we can. I think that makes sense. I just want to make sure it's clear from the applicant's perspective when they're awarded what they're
Yeah,
held to.
that's why Ralph is taking notes here. If we're providing funding for specific line items, we will specify that. If we're providing funding that's more generic, and they can then manage how it gets allocated. All right, Manitou made. Who did I ask last? I forget where I am. So, Ralph, I can't. Pardon? Jason, pardon?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I think you asked me last, so I don't know if you've got a
Okay.
rotating thing going on, but I think you asked me about Commonwealth.
I'm going, Ralph, are you participating on Manitou Made? I don't think you are you?
No, I should not be. I mean, I
Okay.
could be for informational purposes.
No, that's okay.
but not. Yeah.
Marcus, how much are you recommending for Manitou Made?
I really like this application. I think it has a lot of potential to help our community out a lot. I mean, It's put
So
in
how
all
much?
Manitou. I'd like to say, I know we've been doing a lot of 50%. I like to go 75 on this one.
Anyone else?
I'm trying to remember what we talked about with Becca on this one. I mean, it seems like all these costs are pretty crucial to, I would, these seem like reasonable costs, I'm guessing, not, and so I don't know if a lot could be done with a highly reduced, I don't know how much can be done with a highly reduced budget, I guess. And I guess I'm feeling a little unsure of how to assess that. So I wouldn't go terribly low. I guess maybe I would second Marcus, if not closer to full.
So the approach I took was I did half of this onboarding assistance.
Mhm.
And the reason is on the UCCS work study program, you only pay a third of the cost. I know that because the Heritage Center uses work study.
Mhm.
And the other piece is I question if there's going to be that number of businesses that need to be onboarded. So I came up with 7750 minus 2500, so 5250.
Okay.
That was my sort of logic. So it's funding everything, but only half of the onboarding.
And Neil, we're sure that 5,000 represents the entire cost and not the half, the internship?
Well, because it also talks about B. Vredenberg, and I know that's
right.
I know they pay the full cost of that. And at this point, they don't know which they're doing. So the variable here is how many businesses they help to onboard.
Mhm.
And I actually question just how many were onboarded this year. So I'm at 5250.
Jason, I'm sorry if you already said, did we fund this last year?
Yes, we did.
Actually, yes. Yeah. Sorry, we didn't chime in with that one. It was last year. It was 4250. So really close to what Neil's recommending this year.
Mm-hmm. But they're wanting to grow it this year. Mhm. What do you think, Jason?
And so based on last year's, at least based on last year's award, that's what my recommendation was 4250. So I'm totally comfortable tweaking it upward to what Neil's recommending.
Okay, I can get on board with that.
All right, with the 5250.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Let's move
exactly.
on.
It's exactly so which is more than last year's.
Aqua Dealer water station. I think I asked Marcus. So Ren, did you have anything on this one?
No, I really, I mean, it's a high dollar grant, but I really want to fund it. So no, I don't have an alternate suggestion, sorry.
Did anyone else?
Yes, I put I started at half on a lot of these, just like with Jason, but I thought this one might be worth 2/3, which would, or close to 2/3, which would put it in the 5,000 range.
I had 4,600, so 5,000 is okay with me. And I think I was really looking at what was that? Yeah, it's a good project. These guys do good work.
I like this one a lot too. I'd be good with that as well.
5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no
Um,
negatives as far as funding less than the request. It's just that's what we're doing a lot across the board.
Exactly. There's going to be very few that are 100, I think. The purchase mountain bench. It's going to be Jason. What did you have on this one?
I took a pretty simplistic approach to this one. I mean, this is one of the few applications that can't really split it up. It's the cost
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
artist organization is what it is. So I recommended full funding on this, kind of just from straightforward, that's
I did
the
as
price
well.
for the bench is what it is. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I also did full funding since they already cut the price in half from what he initially was thinking. So
Okay. I'm going to plug it in then, guys. Okay.
I'm good with that.
Moonlight Market. This might be controversial. So
And they got 5250 last year.
Thank you, Jason. Ralph, what did you plug
So
in?
the request this year is exactly 2,000 more than last year.
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, Jason, what did you say again? It was last year that we funded.
Last year was 5250, so exactly $2,000 less than the current request.
Okay. I don't know. This was one of those that I felt like if we should go to half funding on. I went to 3625 on this. I like the event. I think I'd like to see more involvement of entrepreneurs than it had a lot of times, but and I went to a lot of them, but I would think that they could find some other sources of revenue as well.
Anyone else? I had 2,400 to pay for the music. And I think, Ralph, I'm in a similar place to you. This is the third year, and there's just not much revenue coming from other sources. It's still heavily dependent on MACH. But I'd be okay going at half.
So that's 3625.
Yeah. You guys okay on that?
I'm good at half.
Good to have.
Okay. Hiawatha Gardens North Base. We didn't cover this last time, did we? So let's see. Yeah, Marcus.
I think they did a good job on the west side. North side's a little smaller. I think they would hopefully I think they got a lot of volunteer help. I mean, I'd be at half on that.
I was 0. I said, if you want to fund it from parking.
I'm recused on this one.
Okay. Ren or Jason?
Well, I mean, the applicant is not the city, and the city maintains control over the parking revenue. So I guess you could submit that idea to them, but they'd have to turn around and request that of the city council. Just because it's a good idea and they're on board with it doesn't give them the authority to control those revenues, I guess.
No, I know that. Yeah.
It makes sense. for the,
Okay, so
for the revenues of the parking facility, but
is there an alternative to 0?
what was that question again? Neil?
Is there an alternative to 0? I'm trying to get us moving to a number. So
Does this project also get funded out of the Hiawatha Tier 1?
no,
No? Okay.
but it could. It could, but it's a possibility. Just as Jason said, parking revenue is a possibility.
Because I felt like the Tier 1, I know this is not the Tier 1 Hiawatha, but it sounds
Right.
like they're not doing a whole lot this year other than planning.
Yeah.
How did I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
how the first mural got funded.
We funded that.
Last year.
Becca had that in her big request last year. Was doing the west wall,
Okay.
and it's beautiful. I agree.
All 3 mural requests, I think there were just 3 were really hard for me because I love murals, but I don't necessarily love the placement of them. And since there is already a mural on this building, I think I was suggesting maybe not funding it. That was my main reason, which maybe isn't the best reason, just to conserve money for other projects. Like I said,
I
would
think
love
that's a good reason, actually.
more murals, but yeah. So I'd be okay with no funding on this one, I guess.
Are you guys okay going at 0 on this one? And I think Ren, you articulated it better than I did. Which is there's already a mural on the building.
I'd be
Okay.
going along with that.
I'm gonna move on to we're an hour and 7 minutes in, guys, and we've done about I don't know, a dozen or so, 15 perhaps. So I do think we're gonna need an extra meeting. The junior high school camp wood and woodworking. This was a request for 5,800. I think I'm gonna. I think it's Ren. Did you have anything in mind on this one?
Sorry, getting unmuted here. I really liked this one. I don't have a recommended. I wish there had been a little bit more. I guess the budget's fine. No, I don't have a suggested number. Sorry. I would be okay definitely reducing some of the budget for this one though.
Did anyone have a number in mind?
I actually had 0 because it seemed like a lot for a school-based program benefiting only 10 students. And felt like that if the school district thought it was important, they should be supporting it. I like the idea, but it just seems like a lot for us to be biting off for 10.
That's a good point. I didn't pick up on that. That's $580 a person.
I also thought it was low community impact. So I would definitely going to be less than 50, maybe a quarter fund.
I think Ralph's point, I had not picked up on it being only 10 people. I have a hard time with all these other things funding $580 a student.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's a tough one.
You guys are persuading me into Marcus's notion of funding it to the tune of 25%. I feel like it probably just wouldn't happen. So I'd be more inclined to not fund it at all than offer
Yeah,
25% of the ask.
I think that's-
yeah, yeah. I
I'm all
think,
right with that.
and that's why we need to talk about this, because each of us brings a perspective that we may not have picked up on. So yeah, I'm good with a 0 on that. A Blue Hands Festival. Let me try and find it here. How much did we fund last year, Jason?
This is one of the few ones that requested the same as last year. Well, no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. Actually, this is lower than last year. So
Okay.
last year's request was 5,500. They actually bumped it down by $500. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was 5,000. So it's gone up by 500.
Okay.
But it was very close. Yeah. So last year was 5,000. They upped their budget by 500, which is about what inflation's been for the past year, 10%.
And this would be the 3rd year. Okay. So does anyone have a suggestion? Well, I guess whose turn is it? Jason, it's your turn, I think.
Yeah, and again, established programs, particularly they're asking about the same amount. I just recommended the same as last year. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to having those project completion reports on this app coming up. And Kinsey talked about that. I think that really helps, because I was kind of shooting blindly, admittedly, assuming that the project closeouts looked good.
No, they
but
did.
assuming everything went well.
I looked at all of them. And actually, when we next meet, you'll see the summary that I put together of the number of participants.
Oh, great.
But this
Okay.
one always has a high turnout. So
Okay.
does
Well,
anyone?
yeah, so I assume that the
So
program.
Jason's at 5,500. Do we have any other?
I was recommending 5,000.
Actually, yeah, sorry, I actually did recommend 5,000, which is last. All of the ones that were awarded last year, I lowered it down. If the prior year's award was lower, I did. Then the current year ask, I lowered it down to the prior year award. So I was at 5,000 as well.
Okay. I guess I'm at the point, if you're into the 3rd year, are you at a point where you can begin charging people a nominal amount to participate? Does it have to be a free event every year?
I think it just depends on the event. I don't
Yeah.
know, easy to make a blanket statement about, but I think it's something we can certainly consider for future rounds.
So are you guys
I think there's a
at
philosophical
5,000 on
conversation
this?
to be had there about that.
I think it's a good event.
Okay. I would
Good
have
program, I should say. It's not just one event.
I would have funded half, but we'll go at 5,000, which is equal to last year.
Good with that.
So next is the Manitou Area Comedy Festival, which is here. I'm sorry, because of how it works, for me to open the budget, I have to kind of scroll back up and everything. Did anyone have so this is, let's see, Ralph, did you have a figure in mind here?
Well, this is one of those where I'm kind of being, I guess, a hard ass, but I just didn't see enough detail, and I thought for as many local and even national comedians as they're talking about, I question the budget on numerous levels. I only gave the budget a 1 star. And I would be one to start with a 0 on this one.
Okay, anyone else?
It also looks like a for-profit event.
Do we have any other numbers?
I kind of agree with Ralph on that one.
Oh, I really don't want to give zero on this one, but I definitely hear the concerns about the budget. That one's a hard one for me. I was really excited about this overall as a project because I think
I was as well.
Yeah.
I funded this at 3,500. Which was basically so that it would maybe not be quite as large a scope in terms of number of acts coming, and so forth, but it just seemed different, unique. We, Lulu's occasionally has an event like this.
yeah, I just went to one actually a few weeks ago.
Okay. So I
Yeah,
was at 3,500.
I'd be much more comfortable with that than zero, but Ralph, again, I do hear your concerns. The budget's a little questionable, but I'm assuming they're making up the rest for, comedian fees with, or comedian stipends with the fees.
Yeah, and that's kind of called out in the budget here. I mean, I'm not sure it's quite as bad as that. It says, hang on, am I on the right one here? No, sorry, I opened up the wrong application. It's this one. If you go into the budget, it has 20 to 30 local and national comedians, 2,000, which is $100 each.
That seems a little light.
Um,
National comedian.
yeah, I'm not sure how many national there'll be. I agree. So I think, Marcus, will you?
I was closer with Ralph, but I mean, if I was asking my wife, she'd be higher than 50% because she really loves comedy. So I could be persuaded to go up to half, give them a shot and see if they can do something with it.
So
You were saying 3,500, right? A little more than half, Neil?
Or was
I
it
s-
35?
I had it at 3,500, but I'm amenable to a reduction. I'd like to see this happen, though.
Yeah, I know what you're saying because it's unusual. We haven't had comedy until Lulu's, but
Right.
I guess I would go along with half.
I'm going to
I-
plug it in at 2,500 for now. Okay.
We can come back to that one, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Art in action. Actually, you recall what this is now.
Looks like you skipped over a few, maybe.
No.
Or did we already?
We covered Kids Art Market last time. We covered air quality last time. So I'm just going to the
Okay,
next one.
okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That we haven't done. So art in action. Whose turn is it? Maybe it's Marcus. What did you have for art in action?
Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up because I can't remember that one off the top of my head. Art in action
This
was
is a recurring program. We did get 5,000 last year. Same
Yeah,
same
got
as requested this year.
Okay.
Ashley
Thank you.
Cornelius. I had it
Yeah.
down as a partial fund, was the only note I had.
So how much are you thinking?
Let's see. Artist stipends of 10 for 350 a piece, maybe 3,500.
I had 3,500. I think I may have done a straight kind of percentage kind of thing, but I landed at the same point as you, Marcus, but differently. Did anyone else have a thought here?
If we did reduce, then I would be fine with 3,500. I don't think we would have to stipulate though, where it's going.
No, I agree. It'd be, can you put on the event with this much money? Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. 3,500?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good with that.
Okay. Children of Gaia. 5,000. I know this was funded again last year. Jason,
Yeah,
how
same
much?
amount again. It was the same
5,000.
amount. It was 5,000 last year.
And I'm going to be asking Ren, did you have a figure in mind here?
No, I know a few of these budgets have come out like a negative. I guess that we can just ignore that because I think it still adds up to 5,000. No, I didn't have a suggested.
I think well, let's see. Jason, did you have anything? Did
Yeah,
anyone
again,
have a
anything,
number?
anything that was ongoing, I just had the same amount as last year. Full,
Okay.
so I guess it would be full funding since the request is the same.
I think I did 3,500 again, just, you know.
I've knocked it down around 4,000, but I would go to 3,500 with you, Neil. I think they could still do the event.
You know, I need to save my spreadsheet. It just occurred to me I haven't saved it all night. That'd be terrible. Are you guys okay at 3,500 and they get to just manage within that envelope?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, good with that.
Adams Mountain Cafe Creek Walk Trail mural. We had quite a range of ratings here. I think I was the lowest here. I only gave this 3 stars. I would not fund this because I don't think anyone gets to see it.
Yeah, I actually rated this one a little higher, and then I've gone and checked out the site, and I fully agree with you. I just don't see where there's that much space there. They park cars back there too behind Adams Mountain, and I don't see how they're going to be able to avoid having some cars parked there. You got to have the right kind of angle, and I'm not even sure when there are leaves on the trees that you'd be able
Right.
to see it. I think it's a decent idea, but I just can't see. I just can't see that it'll work. So I would say 0.
Did anyone have a figure that they wanted to fund this?
Just like the bench, I think it's all or nothing kind of thing. So
I thought it was kind of
It's at all.
expensive as well, by the way.
Yeah, the location of it for me was same thing.
Okay.
You know,
I'm plugging in 0 and it's really concerns with location and visibility to public. We did the dance group last time. So we're on the lantern parade. I think Marcus, do you have a figure in mind here?
and just it was 4,200 last year, FYI.
Thank
So
you.
they're asking, the request has gone up 300.
I really like this lantern parade. I've been in it. It goes right down Manitou Avenue. Kids are involved. It's great community. I'd like to be at least at 4,000.
I went full funding on this 4,500. You know, it's a $17,000, but almost $18,000 budget. They're not counting solely on us. They've got other sources and a really well prepared budget. I like rewarding things like that, and again, like you say, Marcus, it's an established event that a lot of people participate in. I'm fine with full funding.
Okay, anyone else? I'm good at full funding. All right, next one is also concrete couch Fab Lab I'm expecting a similar answer on this one. Of full
There's a
funding.
little bit bigger discrepancy. Sorry, just so everyone knows, there's a little bit bigger discrepancy on this concrete couch application relative to last year. It was a $3,000 award last year, so it's gone up $1,200.
Okay.
I
Anyone
gotta
have-
say, on the Fab Lab, I see these guys at the MAC all the time. I mean, they put in a lot of hours every year.
I don't really feel like they said what they're gonna do. Like, I don't actually know what this is funding specifically, but maybe that's just because it's everybody knows what they do and I don't yet as much. So I mean, it says we'll keep material out of, like, I guess I know what they do, but like I don't feel like they really demonstrated it in this first. But otherwise, like I'm sure they do great stuff and it's great. So
yeah.
I'll go along with whatever y'all say.
Yeah, they did submit a completion report for last year.
Okay.
Offhand, I forget specifically what they did, but I think they had it itemized. I think the other thing I like, this is only what 30-40% of the total project they're asking for.
Yeah.
Which is pretty important. So if you guys are okay, I'm going to plug in 4,200.
Okay.
Epic
Good with that.
concert. Jason, how much did they get last year?
I'm sorry, which one? Clayfest. This is there's
No,
Epic concert. Sorry, I had Clayfest first for whatever reason. Epic concert got 2,500 last year,
Okay.
so it's an increase of 1,500.
Ren, did you have anything in mind here? A specific number? If not, I'll ask Jason.
Is this the
It's a Manitou Springs Epic concert.
yeah. I want more music and this sounds really cool, but I wasn't like out of some of the other music events and that we're funding. This one doesn't rise to the top, but maybe I'm biased against classical music. It sounds really cool. And I looked at their website and I explored it and I watched some of their videos, but I just wasn't a huge priority for me. So I actually probably would be okay not funding it. I feel weird saying that, but so I'll stop there.
Okay. Anyone else?
I had it for 3,000.
So did I.
Yeah, I had it for 2,500 because that was last year's award, which is just sort of my blanket approach to
And
recurring things. But
I'd be okay going with the 2,500 and saying it's the same as last year.
That's fine. Fine with
I
me.
was leaning more towards Rand's thought. I wanted to hopefully see more of the money go to the local, but I could be persuaded to come up.
Well, I think the whole point of this is it's an opportunity to see people that you don't see locally. I actually think that's the whole point of the Epic concert.
I can be persuaded on that.
Not that I've been. Let me be very clear. I've not attended one. I plugged in.
we're always trying to get those classical musicians to those orchestral folks in. Can't get
I
them.
plugged in 2,500.
Okay.
Clayfest. Whose turn? Jason.
So Clayfest was awarded. Sorry, I'm just plugging in my Epic here. Clayfest was awarded 2,570 last year, and I can't remember when that started, but it's probably going on year 7 or 8 now. So it's been happening. It's definitely a pre-match program, and they made it happen with 2,570 last year. So that was my recommendation to equal last year's award, 2,570.
Did anyone have an alternative?
I would be fine with 2,570, and I would give him the feedback that as much as I like him and what he does, I really wish he would do a little bit more with effort into the budget that he submits.
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I think the feedback would be why spend so much on prizes? you know, $2,000 on prizes. Come on. So I'm going to plug in 2570, Jason.
I'm good with
Very
that.
Keithley log cabin. I am not voting on this one because the items, once they're all archived, would be donated to the Heritage Center. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it here. I beg your pardon. So this is archiving and recording the Keithley Cabin Historic District records. So I think I'm on Ralph again.
Okay, again, I guess this might be a point of emphasis going for next year, but for a project of 3,500 and this budget is like non-existent.
There was an addendum that was sent by email.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I didn't see it, but I know enough about it that I was recommending 2,500.
Anyone else?
Yeah, can I just add to that, Neil? I know there was an issue that Kinsey has since resolved where there wasn't really an option to upload secondary documents. That was one of the comments we got back.
Yeah, I don't think
that,
this was actually that. It was just Doug had a bit of an issue himself and
Okay.
sent more detail separately.
Okay, I thought I remember hearing that.
It was an issue, but I don't think that was the cause here, Jason.
I got you. Okay, thanks.
I probably will just go along with the crowd. This one it's unique in terms of the other applications we have. It didn't have the highest level of like impact for me. But I know this work's really important to preserve. So I'm okay going with Ralph's suggestion. It just wasn't a high project for me.
I'm going to suggest, Ralph, that you go to 50%.
Okay, which would be 1,750.
Yeah, and I say that because I remember seeing the budget. There was a scanner in there. There are scanners that are available that can be utilized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't participate in the application, but I definitely looked at the budget and formed my opinion.
I think this is one of those where we need to remember that heritage is part of our mission.
Yeah.
And so it's not always going to have quite as much public impact as an event, but
I agree.
I'm fine with supporting it at some level, and 50% is fine.
Okay. Imagine Art Camp. We might get these all done, guys. Imagine Art Camp. So whose turn is it?
I'll jump in.
All right.
To me, it seemed like a lot for just up to eight kids at any given time. I would recommend 50%.
How much did they
I'm
get
curious about
last year?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Neil, because I was just about to say, yeah, I'm curious about how the project closed out looked like, and I'm sorry I didn't dig in and review all those. They got 2,970 last year, so pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm curious if it was well spent, but that's, yeah, so we're close to where they were last year. 2,970.
I think it's a week-long camp, isn't it? It's not just a single day, or it might be a month even, but it's, in fact, why don't I just open it up? It's,
Yeah, they've got March to August spending the funds.
yeah. So I think there's an opportunity to kind of reduce this and they can still do it.
Where do you see that reduction taking place?
Well, I'm just looking at how they have it scheduled here.
Well, I see reduce the window, I see.
Yeah, or reduce the number of free entries,
Mhm.
you know, or make it a lower cost entry, you know, but so Ralph, what did you have on this one?
I was half, 1635.
And Jason, you were probably equal to last year.
Right, 3270.
No, that wasn't last year, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2970.
Ren, have you got a feeling on this one?
I'd like to go closer to what they had last year, I think.
Yeah, I'm good with that. The project completion report, from what I recall, was it impacted how I rated this.
Mhm.
That positively or negatively?
Yeah, positively.
Okay. Well, then I would recommend last year's funding then. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I just plugged in. I'm just trying.
So
Where the hell are we? Here we go. So
Brandon Hart summer camp. So you were still at 2970?
yes. So I'm now moving. We did identity through storytelling last time, so we're on to use of plaster and slip casing. I actually rated this one a 3, which would be it gets no funding. That's where I rated it. Marcus,
Here. I gave it 0.
did anyone give it a number?
This definitely seemed like Jason was kind of alluding to earlier with some other ones like full or none. I don't know if she could do it on a much more reduced. I really went back and forth on this one. Like I really like the impact it would have in the long term, and I trust that she could do that impact, but it was, yeah, this one was a hard one. I'd be okay not funding it.
Yeah. I plugged in a 0, guys, okay?
That's
And
good.
by the way, I think we're gonna have some funds left over, okay? As I just look at where we are. Soul songs for hope and restoration, renewal and healing. I'm gonna go to Ren.
I had mixed ratings on this one. I also had a question about the revenue side of the budget. I might not actually be there. I feel like I was seeing a discrepancy. They had mentioned $5 donations in the narrative, and I wasn't seeing how this was all shaking out with their revenue.
It's in here. It's in here.
Okay,
They
okay.
have the donations.
Yeah. So this one I wasn't a huge fan of. I would be okay with reduced or none. But I don't have a specific number, sorry.
Yeah, I guess a way of partially funding this is it just doesn't happen for as many months. You know, it's going May through December. Does anyone have a figure?
Half. I was half.
I was half also.
Yeah.
Okay, I plugged it in as half. You know, because some of these we may not personally have much interest in, but they're a little bit different.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely judging them on
Yeah.
if they're not.
Yeah, it's hard. You think,
Yeah.
God, would I do that?
So that would be 1360 we're funding.
Yes. Manitou Community Council, the art and heart of listening and speaking in circle. Jason.
I've got 0 on this one just because Judith has 2 new programs she was applying for. I know Judith. She lives in Green Mountain Falls, and I worked with her when I was up there. Great woman, and
Oh, right, you did. Yeah,
just
I
anyone-
forgot you were up there.
Yeah, for a quick cup of coffee. So yeah, just anyone who's coming to the table with 2 new program ideas. So, just given how tight things are, I kind of prioritize one over the other, and the one we just went through. And again, I don't know if she thinks one has higher value than the other. So, I'm kind of making that assumption on her behalf that the Soul Songs program would be a priority over this one, but it was admittedly based on that consideration that she's got 2 new programs, and I don't think we can, given demand versus
That's fair.
available funds, we can commit to that. So I zeroed this one out.
Okay. Anyone else?
I had no more than half funding. But I could go along with Jason on 0.
I had half also.
I liked her other one better than this one. This one I scored lower.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it at 0 then, guys.
That's fine.
And we may, well,
Jason's reasoning resonates with me.
yeah. Manitou Springs middle school STEAM night. Who am I going to? I think, Ralph, I'm back on you.
Okay, let me call it up here. I'm just in the middle of calling it up. I was pretty impressed with this one, and the fact that they had other contributions, other sources of revenue. I was recommending 1,500 on this one. And
Anyone
they got
else?
a letter from District 14. They did it all right.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I'd be okay with that or full. I also really like this one, rated very high for me.
I liked it as well. I would suggest we hold to the 1,500 at this point.
Works for me.
I'm good with that.
Manitou Springs Creative Census and Directory, Marcus.
I think it's a good idea because it will help all the local artists get onto a list that people can use. Residents can use it, businesses can use it, people outside of Manitou can see this list. I think it's a good idea. I'd be maybe 1,000.
Anyone else?
They only have 3 budget items, and I imagine they're, they did their research for reach. I don't know. I'd be okay with full. What were you
Yeah,
saying?
I actually had this one at 0. Because hang on. I think I'm on the wrong application. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. I was just putting up the budget. It's this one. And the reason I was at 0 was I didn't really understand why we're making all these posts. I didn't quite get that. It wasn't clear to me what the real benefit is. Basically, we're sending out postcards to get people to respond, and I reckon about 5% of people will actually respond. Even I wasn't a fan of this. I didn't. But that's me.
For me, I was thinking of my own house where I got a little tile project where I'd like to hire a local ceramic person, and I know Mark, but I'd like to have a list of
Well, I would,
potters or ceramic people, it'd be good to know. Who do I
I,
call for local potters or
I
stuff
think,
like that?
I think you get as good a list by going to the MAC and asking for their membership list. But if you guys want to fund this, that's fine. I'm just
I'm
trying
obviously recused on this one.
all right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
as you were talking, Neil, I remember like I really like the outcome. I was also kind of questioning the postcard, like the efficiency of that or the efficacy of it. So I'd be okay with some reduced. I still would kind of like to fund it. But Jason, you haven't chimed in yet. What do you say? Same formula?
was that Jason?
Mhm.
Jason, what
I
did you
thought you
have?
were asking a question.
I did. I asked what your
I zeroed it. I just because Becca and the Creative Alliance had so many applications. This one, I had a 0 with a suggestion to defer it to a subsequent cycle. I think it's a cool idea. I think it really can. What's good about it's a one-off thing. Once it's done, and if it doesn't get results, not much lost. If it does get results, it could be a valuable resource. There's going to have to be upkeep, but I wouldn't think that would take a whole lot as long as someone's in Becca's position. It could be a cool thing. I just zeroed it because they had so many different irons in the fire.
Mhm.
So Jason and I are both on 0 at this point. And Marcus and Ren, I think you're at some level of funding.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea to get a list out there that's a concrete list that anyone in Manitou can see, or even outside of Manitou, and be able to pull artists off of it and use them. And
so I'm not going to put anything in at this point. I'm leaving this one blank because I think we'll come back to this in our next meeting. Okay. So we haven't made any kind of recommendation yet. All right. I want to get through these others and see where we are.
How many are left?
4,
Oh, okay.
5. Dragon Theatre Productions. I'm going to try and speed this up a bit. I had this at full funding of 1750.
I did too, full funding.
Does anybody know, maybe I missed it in the narrative, what the performance fee is referring to?
I have to open it up.
Because I just don't know what that means.
Well, I think they have to pay the Dragon Theatre to come and do the show.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. That should have made sense before you had to say it. Thank you. I'm also full funding on this one. Actually, I had low. Why did I have low? Go for it.
Okay. Then the next one was the Sally Knox Hall street mural. Becca did the application on her behalf because Sally was out of town. I had this at, well, did anyone have a number on this?
I had no. Hold on, 0.
You had 0?
Right.
Yeah, I think you were the 1 point. Oh no, Nancy was the one who was out of the maybe it's on the high. Jason, what did you have?
I had it zeroed, but the rationale, the two-point rationale that each is kind of dissolved. One was because, again, it came from the Creative Alliance and Becca with multiple applications, but
she did it because
on Sally's behalf.
Sally was out of town. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other rationale was the Hiawatha mural, which we've zeroed out. So I would actually recommend full funding on this, especially seeing where we're at bottom line wise.
And the
It's-
cost
it's
here,
far more visible than the Adams Mountain.
yeah, I would tend to fund it as well.
And,
Yeah,
and
knowing where we are, we're got about 12,000. Well, we got about 22,000 left right
let's
now.
let's
so.
not get into
I know. I'm
where
that's
we
playing
are.
like the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. It's hard
Um,
not to consider that.
Are you okay with funding this one, Ren?
Yeah,
Given that
absolutely. Yeah,
we zeroed out the other two?
and I don't feel like I have to recuse here.
No, you don't. No.
And I really think that as good of an artist as she is, that charging herself only $1,000
Agree.
for this is and you know you're going to get good work. And yeah, another point to be made here is that building is owned by a couple of older guys, including Rich Baker, longtime local businessman, and they, you know, the Marathon is headquartered there. The Creative Alliance is headquartered there, so I guess it does affect me a little bit. But I mean, we're renters there.
You're okay. You don't worry about it, Ralph.
Yeah, but I feel like that as much as those guys who own that building do for the community and providing a really classy office space for a handful of organizations, I think a little reward for them is a good thing too.
And it's
Yeah.
high visibility as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of curious about I'm sure they've got it figured out, the like engineering of like attaching it and making it last and all that. So yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. MSES pottery unity. Did anyone have a figure here?
Just due to the volume of MSES applicants, I think I had it at 50%. Let me double check that.
I did also. But
So it'd be like just half the classes essentially.
yeah, and I'm not sure. This is made available to all K through 5 students. So I think I would be okay funding this one, but that's only if you guys are okay.
My guess is that she's probably got a budget for a number of these programs and or you know programs as a group, and she's just seeing how much she can get from us. And I would say half funding would be fine with me. $750.
Okay. We don't put that. 750, guys.
Okay.
All right. Emma Crawford Memorial Plaque. I know a little bit of the background on this. The guy's gone through a lot of different organizations and city council to get this approved in terms of placement and stuff. Now he's got to pay for the actual plaque.
So that was a question I had. There's a place determined where it will go.
Yes.
Okay. That's not here.
And it may be, let me just see. I thought they did, it wasn't here, but there is a place that's been approved by City Council and Parab, I think.
Okay. The timeline doesn't work, but he wanted to have it done and completed by March.
You're right. Yeah, but that was exactly.
I think just in the spirit of trying to be frugal, I recommended 80% funding, but I could go for full funding. 80% would be 1,120.
Yeah. I think I put this at full funding on my list.
I gave it high ratings, so I
Yeah.
would be fine with that.
Okay, you guys all right at 1400? Which
Sure.
leaves us with the last one. I'm sorry to make you all dizzy. The mariachi band. I'll tell you how I did this. I thought if I was in school and I wanted a bit of fun, give me a mariachi band. that was how I did it. So I would actually recommend funding this one.
I love mariachi too. We had one at our wedding, but there was still the thing of just a lot of requests from the elementary school. So I don't know how we.
I think she rated this one among her higher ones, didn't she? I know we're trying to stay away from that, but
yeah, I think at this point, you know, we've not funded all of them, and we'll go back and see where we are on that. But my instinct here is we probably tell them how much we've approved and give them a little bit of discretion in which projects they fund based on their priorities. They've asked us to tell them what we think, but I think we should allow them the leeway of, you know what, within our curriculum or age groups or whatever, we'd like to do this one instead of this. But are you guys okay, at least for now, approving mariachi?
Yeah.
So we're at 100 and
Neil, can I
Yeah.
just give a metric on the elementary school stuff? So the
Yeah.
elementary school request totaled 12,350 for the 9 applications. 12,350 so far. Before this one, mariachi thing was considered, we've approved 4,500. So barely
Okay.
over a third of their requests.
Okay.
That helps.
Thank you, Jason. I think it does help.
that puts us at 5,300.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, are we going full funding on mariachi then? The full 800?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're at 133,000. I want to go back to Art on the Avenue, and to Manitou Music Foundation and Poetry Heals, because those are the ones that we were a little bit concerned with, that maybe we weren't giving them enough. And frankly, that probably applies to any of these bigger ticket items. So let me just bring the sequencing here. So on the Art on the Avenue, we currently are sitting at 50% funding, 7,760. And I think there was a general consensus we'd like to boost that. I reckon we have about $17,000 to play with, okay? To bring us to the 150 target.
I'd say we go full funding on Art on the Avenue then.
I want to look at the budget. Anyone else?
I do love the Art on the Avenue. It's awesome to see. I think residents, tourists, everyone love it. I wish they could sell some and generate revenue.
So what I've done for now is I've plugged in 90%, okay? That's 13,968. Let's just hit these other two.
You plugged in full funding for Art on the Avenue then?
90%, 13,968. Just
13,000.
just till we've gone through these other ones, okay?
What was that number? 13,009?
6-8.
68, okay.
So,
That's 90% of the request.
so Manitou music.
I'd like to go 90 or 100 on that. They're working hard all year round.
I would rather go 100% on Art on the Avenue than on Manitou music.
Can we not do both?
Well, I think we want to have a few $1,000s left over for when we meet again in 2 weeks' time. Because we all will have thought about this and maybe looked at a few more projects. So I don't want to allocate everything now. I'd rather have some.
I would recommend for the Manitou music more in the range of 10,000 as a, let's see, we were at 7,050. I would go up to 10,000 and maybe stop there. They've got some money plugged in here for marketing, promotion, advertising that I think they can.
I agree, and the equipment also. I do, yeah. So I'm plugging in 10,000 for now, guys. Okay. Poetry Heals. We had that at 50%. Ren, I think you had a feeling on this one.
My brain is a little frazzled, so sorry. I was towards the negative from what you recall. Sorry,
I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. Who was more on the positive?
Jason was. I recommended last year to match last year's award of 8,300.
Okay. If I plug that in, we're now at 146,000. That's why I didn't want to go mad on the Manitou music or the Art on the Avenue, because these things quickly add up and suck up everything. I just go back to this is one of those with a really poor budget preparation, and I would hesitate going too high on it. And maybe we can just send that message out to a number of applicants. Well, if we hold at the 6192, which is what we had, I think, we're 144,000, which keeps 6,000 for us to play with next time. I'd like to suggest that we pause here, because I think, as Ren just pointed out.
Okay.
Pardon?
What was the figure the figure you just threw out was for the Poetry Heals?
No, I'm sorry. Poetry Heals is 4763.
Okay.
50%. So we're at 142,491.
I have 142,591. We're so close. I was really curious if we were going to be. I have 142,591. You have 142,491.
Yeah.
We're off by $100. We'll compare notes offline.
Yeah. So I think we're going to pause here, and I will send this out. Let me save the bloody thing. That would be a disaster. I actually think we are in a position where in our next meeting, we can go through this list again. We can do the tier 1 recommendations and prepare the final content for the council packet to hold at the council works session. Is it February 28th or that a Tuesday? And then the actual meeting would be on March 7th, I think it is. And I'm in Florida for both of those.
Given that we've got a little bit to play with, I would, and it doesn't have to be tonight, but I wonder if we might revisit Carnival as well.
Well, I think
Because
we can, I'm going to let people look at this and decide what their priorities are. I also want to see what the December final is, because I can assure you what I've seen for January is not looking good. And I think that may have started in December, but looking at occupancy. So I'd like to keep a few thousand in case we have less than we think.
Yeah, I understand.
And you know, we're going to have Nancy and Kinsey. They may have some adjustments. So it gives us a way of adding. It's a lot easier to add than to subtract. And I think any of us have the right to argue more funding for any of these. So I think we'll just hold that for a meeting in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
So in 2 weeks' time, that's planned to be an in-person meeting, I think. And Ren, you were going to be doing the training on the setup for that.
Yes, if Becca get together to do it.
And if there's any risk, we'll do Zoom, okay? Because we can't afford to spend half an hour figuring out how to do a hybrid call.
Right, I talked to Judy about the training, and she is not comfortable with anybody that isn't staff touching the equipment. I still would like Rin there to help guide me touching the equipment if if I start to fumble or something, if Rin's willing to do that.
I just ask that you have at least one dry run, if not two, so you have confidence, because I'm honestly, we can't afford, because Nancy will be calling in. I know that.
Okay, well, I'll try to get Judy to show it to me next week, so I can get a feeling if I think I can handle this, or if I think we should do Zoom. 'Cause I've got to tell you, I hear stories about other meetings going on with and having issues with the equipment. It seems to be temperamental.
Mhm.
This is sounding to me like enough for us to just pretty much maybe go back to just planning Zoom.
For
We've
something
gone
that's
this far.
important, I think for something that's important, let's just rather than risk my screwing everything up, let's just do Zoom, and then you can do a regular meeting when it doesn't have such high stakes.
Our March meeting, okay?
Okay. March meeting.
Because I think Nancy's back by then also. So just a couple of things. I've already prepared a template for the council presentation. And I showed that to sort of Ralph, and so that's kind of ready to be populated. So what we're going to do in our next meeting is the tier ones. We'll go through the tier 2 again. And there's a couple of other actions that will need to be assigned in that meeting. Is there anything else we need to do in our next meeting?
I just wanted to clarify now, when you talked about 150 being the estimate, you were already pulling out 10,000 for other expenses, weren't you?
A few thousand, I'm not sure. Yes, yes, yes.
For possible website revisions and maybe
Right.
something else, but
Well, and we have to pay Amanda as well.
I'll
Oh,
look at that.
yeah.
I'll look at the
Speaking of-
sales tax tomorrow.
Okay.
Speaking of which, yeah, when are we going to have a topic on administrative support, or discussion on the topic of administrative support?
We can add that to a March agenda, Jason. It certainly won't be earlier.
Okay. Okay, and maybe this is a Becca question, but in terms of that, in terms of the funding for that support, is that on the mid-year budget, or
No, it's
I guess where
it's
things
in our
at?
budget, Jason. We've already built it into our budget.
Okay.
And it's Amanda.
Yeah, and we paid for it.
Okay, so
It last year and the previous year.
okay, so the ultimate decision has basically been to keep it within city staff and just pay an administrative fee for Amanda's time on
Yes,
this, and not to.
yes. And we
Okay, because I just remember there was a lot of talk about
no, we
contracted
decided
help.
that
But that's off the
sometime
table now?
last year, Jason.
Okay.
We've taken it off the table.
And
Okay, I just didn't.
Amanda's providing administrative support to several other boards also, and she's paid accordingly from those.
Well, but that's for administrative support for the board operations. I guess I'm thinking grant management stuff. And so I would like to get some clarity on her role.
Jason, let's just cover that in March, but she's already doing that. Okay, she's been doing
Okay.
some of the reporting. She's been doing some of the emails. So we just cover that in March. I'm sensitive. It's 8:10 now. So
Okay.
I'm going to add that to
You were asking.
March agenda. It won't be in our next meeting.
Great. No, fair enough. Yeah, just
Okay.
get some clarity in terms of what city staff's doing or what they're not doing. That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
did
would
very-
just like to say thanks to the board members, because I thought this was a great session and we got a lot done, more than I thought we could.
I'm exhausted. I don't know about you guys.
Okay.
Neil,
Agreed, Ralph. I thought we were going to get to the end of this and we're going to have to I thought we were going to be lopping off limbs all over the place by the time we get to the end of it. So,
Yeah, I
Impressed.
really am proud of the group for all that.
Ren?
sorry, I know you already said can I just triple check the date of our next meeting? Because I know we can't do it on that Thursday.
2 weeks time. So that's what is that? 23rd?
But I thought that was the Manny Awards. I thought we switched it.
Oh,
Manny Awards
No,
is.
no,
March.
March 23rd.
March.
Everybody, thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's a good point. Our meeting in March will be on the 9th.
Okay, sorry to freak everybody out. Thank you.
Oh,
My 10th, whatever the second Thursday in March is.
Okay.
that's the 9th.
I am back. I'm back I fly back on the 8th, so I will be here. Okay. Guys, I'll send the sort of spreadsheet out, and I urge you to look over it and highlight where you feel we should be adding a little bit. Because that's pretty much what we'll focus on in our next meeting. Okay. Nice work. Thank you all. Jason, thank you for giving us last year's numbers as
Yes.
well.
thank you, Neil.
All right. See you
Good night,
guys.
everybody.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Good night.